You have to know where are they coming from. It's important. I can give more examples of where knowing someone could come from, but I want to move on. Where they come from. Very important. And then the last thing is you're still frustrated. What can you do with that frustration? Let's channel this frustration, this frustrating energy, into something positive. So you're sitting there and you put something in the driveway and you're fuming, right? You're ready to hit him in the face, right? You're pretty much missed the movie and you know what you're going to do tonight, and all your friends are at Harry Potter, and they're going to talk about how awesome the movie was tomorrow. You're going to be like, yeah, Joe was late last night, I didn't even see it, and you're just fuming. So take that energy and put it in and remember it. Keep it for yourself, that next time that you're late, or that you think you're going to be late, be like, oh man, I remember how that felt. It'll prevent you from doing that to someone else in the future. So you're so frustrated about something, be like, okay, now I know how this feels. Hashem is telling me not to do this in the future. Now I know how it feels. Now I'm even less likely to do something like that. Wouldn't you say after that situation, at least for the next couple of weeks, you're going to be pretty good about being on time? Because you know how that felt, it's still fresh in your memory, you're still angry about it? So but try and keep that, and use it in a positive way.
Or have a beer.
I'm sorry?
Or have a beer.
Or have a beer.
Or some salted fish from Ukraine.
But that's also a problem with frustration that we talk about, actually downfalls, is escapism. Actually, I forgot to mention this. This can be drugs.
Overeating.
Sure. Violence. Indulging in anything, any one thing. My handwriting's terrible, I know. So's my spelling. So you escape from, when you get really aggressive, and really frustrated, you want to escape from that state of mind, like I can't handle this anymore, right? So you go pound a bottle of whiskey, or you go smoke a ton of pot, or you pop some drugs, or you go beat up some random guy in the street because you don't know what to do with all this anger. So remember that's also definitely something you don't want it to lead to, that being frustrated leads to escapism, escaping from that moment of anger into another situation of anger, and using it, taking it out physically on somebody else or something else. Alright, so this was, use it for yourself. Very important. Something so positive can come out of a frustrating situation. Okay? So the next thing that I want to talk about that you can be frustrated at is you can be frustrated at a situation. So what do I mean about a situation? So a situation, I would like to define, is anytime you're frustrated at something that you can't pinpoint on a person, you can't put it on yourself, you can't put it on someone else, it's out of your control and out of someone else's control. The best example I can think of is being in traffic. But what you have to do is you have to analyze the situation. Why are you frustrated in your traffic? You're frustrated in traffic because you're late to something, because you're sitting in traffic. Sometimes you're frustrated just because you're in traffic, or sometimes you're frustrated because you're late to a meeting, or you're late to an interview. So it depends where you're going. Yes?
I was just thinking you could be also frustrated that you left and didn't leave enough time to...
Exactly. Yeah, I'm actually definitely getting to that. So the first question that you have to ask is, could I have avoided the situation? Could I have avoided being in traffic? Depends. Maybe I could have taken another route.
Hashem controls everything, then it's obviously you're in traffic for a reason.
Yeah, but you could have avoided it. If you know the traffic starts at 7:20, you woke up at 7, and you didn't leave yourself time. And sometimes it's in your control, sometimes it's not. You made a bad decision by waking up so late, yeah, you're going to be stuck in traffic. It's a consequence.
There's there's an accident here.
Right, so that's a situation that's out of your control. But first you have to assess, could I have not been here? So could I have had a habit that would have prevented me from being here? So could I have prevented it? So for traffic, could you have waken up earlier? Could you do something as proactive as having another route? Could you have maybe listened to the radio, listened to the traffic, and taken something else? So let's assume that, no. I woke up on time, I left when I'm supposed to, there's not really any other routes because all the other routes have even more traffic. There was an accident here today and I'm stuck on the highway between exits. Nothing I can do, right? Clearly Hashem's work, we can agree that this is a situation where it's not in your control, it's not someone else's control. You're simply stuck in a frustrating situation, and it's not your fault, not someone else's fault. So what's the next question? What's the next thing that you want to do?
Buy a donkey.
by a donkey.
Yeah.
That might work.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might make some dents on other people's cars when you go over their hoods. But
You'll never be stuck.
let's say you're in this situation, right? And you're in a car, and you're smacking the steering wheel, you're honking, you're swearing, you're screaming, you're flicking off random people that you don't even know just because you're angry. You just want to, you just have nowhere to go with your frustration. Then on the radio, all of a sudden you hear, one of those commercials for like starving children in Africa, and in your mind you get a picture like, oh man, I've never seen those pictures. If you guys have seen like the kids, they're like 8-year-olds that have they look like they're pregnant because their abdomens are so swollen because they're sick and they're malnourished. They look like they're pregnant. It's awful. They're really sick. They barely have food. They barely have anything. And you're sitting there in a $20,000 car, frustrated. You have a $20,000 car. This kid doesn't even have food on his table, and he's sick constantly. He's only 6 years old. Are you kidding me? And when you're sitting in the restaurant, and the salad took 14 minutes to come out instead of 8. Really? You can afford to go out to a restaurant and have someone make food for you and wait on you. And there's people in the world that can't even get food. They're starving for food every day. They beg for food from other people. You gotta sometimes humble yourself, like, okay, I should be thankful that at least I have a car. Now, of course, that's not going to always work. It's not a perfect world. We're human. We're going to be frustrated. But there is always something to be thankful for. Always. Unless you're dead, even if you're dead, you always have something to be thankful for. You're alive. That's the most basic thing. I'm alive. You should be thankful for that. That's it.
Thank God that I'm alive.
Thank God that you're alive. Thank God that I'm alive. So be grateful. In a situation where you have no control and you're frustrated, be grateful for what you do have. And it will help eliminate the frustration. Okay? So what's the third thing that I want to talk about that you can be frustrated at? Is you can be frustrated at yourself. Let's see here. Be frustrated at oneself. So when would this happen? This is actually a very healthy way of being frustrated. Why do you think that would be healthy? Why do you guys think that would be healthy, to be frustrated at yourself?
It means you're not pushing yourself, you're not where you are, you're not happy where you are in your life.
Right. So you want to move up. Right? You have ambition. You know that you did do something. Now, and situation you're mad at someone else, or you're mad at a situation like in your traffic, but really you should have left earlier. You weren't really responsible. You got gas in the morning before work. You should have gotten it the day before. But you're mad at the situation. Really, you should be mad at yourself. A story that I found really interesting that really will explain this point very well is Intel a long time ago. They had a contest. Back when they first had their computers, they had like a big supercomputer. They had a contest that a couple people could enter, and if you win, you get to have an hour on this computer. This fantastic, amazing computer, right? Probably gigantic, and it's got like 3 kilobytes of memory. It's probably nothing now, but at the time it was like, gosh, it's a big thing. So 2 guys win. First guy, he gets his hour on the computer, and he's trying to figure it out. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know computers. Computers are brand new, so he's trying to play with it. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's pressing buttons, and like an hour goes by, and then the guy's like, "Time up." And he's like, "Ugh, I'm so angry." Punches the computer, because he said this hour and he couldn't do anything. Second guy comes, same thing. He's sitting there, he's frustrated, he's pressing the buttons, turning the computer on and off. He doesn't even just a bunch of numbers and letters. Like, what is it? I don't even know what I'm doing. And then time's up, he takes his fist, and he hits himself. So what's the difference? He thought, wow, I had this opportunity to spend an hour on this amazing computer, but instead of taking that time beforehand to figure out what to do or asking for help, I just sat there like a monkey pressing buttons. Ugh, I'm such a fool. So you learn from it. You learn from your own frustration at yourself. And you attribute things that have been happening in your life to your own fault. Now, this can also be bad if you're constantly frustrated at yourself and you get down on yourself. But if you use this in a healthy way and you establish new habits, so you realize that 3 days in a row you were late to work. I'm feeling so stupid. Like, what am I doing? Just establish a new habit. You wake up half an hour earlier. So being frustrated at yourself is healthy. And if you can move being frustrated at someone else or frustrating a situation to being frustrated at yourself and then establishing habits, you'll be a much healthier person and you're not going to be so angry. And probably the most important thing, obviously we talked about this earlier, is about being frustrated with a problem or something that you're doing. The example I gave earlier was about if you have like this book. It says, let's learn Chinese in 4 weeks. After week 1, take the book, throw it out the window. Maybe if you're really angry, you even like tear up the book and then you throw it out the window, or you burn it and then you can throw it at the wall, or you just close it. That's very important. Just closing it is also, you're giving into frustration. Like, I can't handle this. This is too hard. I'm closing the book. Now you put it aside. No, you didn't display anger. You don't have to display anger to be frustrated. But you gave up. You gave into frustration. So everyone should probably make a list in your head of things that you started and then you gave up on. Working out, learning a language, learning some kind of trade, or maybe even learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I remember I once tried to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I gave up after 10 minutes. It's like there's all these strategies. You can be done. It's not that hard. If actually I applied myself again, I can do it. So get that list in your head. And what you should do when you leave the classroom today is pick one thing from that list. Pick something from that list, something easy that you quit in the past, something that you gave up on, and come back and start it again. And don't give in to frustration. Don't just close that book and put it aside. It's too hard for me. Oh man, I can't do it. It's too hard. No, you just plug and you plug and you plug. And a great way when you're in the moment and you want to give up, you want to close that book, you want to slam that door, you want to say to your kids, I've had enough, I'm hitting you. Bam! Kids are very frustrating. You want to hit them all the time. So what do? What's a great technique to not hit your kids or to not close that book, to continue learning? Say, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. I'll just do 5 more minutes, then I'll throw the book out. 5 more minutes, then I'll hit my kids. Take this from the opposite of, I'll just have one more slice of cake. I'll just have one more cigarette. Just 10 more minutes of sleep. I'll work in 5 more minutes. So you take that and you turn it around. And when you're doing something you don't want to do, but you know is productive, and you know that you ultimately want to do it, you say, 5 more minutes. I'll do it for 5 more minutes. Fine. And 5 more minutes later, like, okay, I'm already doing it. I'll do it for 5 more minutes. And next thing you know, you did it for another half hour. Half an hour is better than nothing. You didn't give up. You did it for half an hour. And then you can close your book. And you probably come back to it tomorrow. But you have to get that mental block out of your head where it's too frustrating, I can't do it. And taking a break is not good either. You'd be like, I'm going to take a break. You're on your break? Okay, I'll go learn in 5 more minutes. I'm going to have some coffee. I'm going to go have lunch. I'll learn in 5 minutes. I'm going to go work out and learn in 5 minutes. 3 days later, you never learned what you were trying to learn, and then it's completely gone from you. You're like, forget it. I'm not going to do it. So remember, when you give into that situation, where you close that book, you give up on what you were trying to do, you're losing self-confidence. You don't have self-confidence to do that again in the future. Every time you close that book, every time you slam that door, you're losing confidence in yourself to do something in the future. You're ultimately putting yourself down. It's unhealthy. We're blocking ourselves. And what do you gain from quitting? What do you gain from quitting? Let's say you have something, a hard task. What do you gain from it?
More free time.
Time. Only thing. Only get time. What did you do with that time?
Nothing.
Realistically.
Nothing.
Nothing. What happens if when you're learning that Chinese book, and you're like, forget it. You close it, right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time, what I'm doing right now. It's a waste of time. Close the book, throw it over there. Right now, I'm in the moment, I'm still frustrated. What am I going to do? Maybe go have a beer, watch some TV. Get my mind out of it, right? I need to escape this rationalization of putting this book aside. Something I want to do, now I'm throwing it out, so now I've got this cognitive dissonance in my head. I've got this conflict in my head.